Howdy folks, Corky Duke here, and welcome to my very first video ever of the Great War Western Front. It's a brand new game I bought yesterday. I actually had it on my wish list on Steam for quite a while, I guess, and so I'm very curious as to what it's like. I haven't tried it or tested it. This is my first um, there we go. My first ever attempt at this game. So, Imperial War Museums. Inspired by real events.
Never in history had a single shot so changed the fate of a continent.
That's for sure.
Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, and his wife Sophie, Duchess of Hohenberg, are assassinated on a visit to Sarajevo, sparking a conflict that would engulf the world. One by one, the dominoes fall. The great empires, desperate for influence, are eager to tip the balance of power in their favor. Demanding retribution, Austria-Hungary declares war on Serbia, provoking Russia and Germany to stand on opposing sides. As war reaches France and Belgium, Britain honors its treaties and musters its forces. Europe is now at war.
1914.
Countless thousands of professional and reservist soldiers would march toward their fate onto the Franco-Belgian border. It would be a conflict like none had seen before. Technology would change the landscape of war and the scale of violence in such a way as to usher in a new world. Within 4 months, gone were the cavalry charges and battle lines of old, now dominated by the thunder shock of artillery and the blistering hail of machine gun fire. This new reality would force entire armies to dig deep into the dirt and fortify their position with a line of trenches. The measure of victory now to be drawn in inches. Thus the Western Front was established. From the fields of Flanders to the borders of Switzerland, the great nations would make their stand. The fate of millions was now in the hands of a few.
Alright. Hopefully they got a tutorial on this. I want you for the U.S. Army, Allied Nations, tutorial, okay. Okay, the Americans arrived. Campaign start May 1918. To start the tutorial after remaining neutral for several years, America is prodded into action by sunken ships and a disturbing telegram, the Zimmermann telegram. All right, let's go. Let's try this. The Americans arrived. America remained neutral throughout most of World War I, supplying aid but not taking part in combat. However, Germany's increased attacks on American ships began to sway many in the government. When the British revealed a Zimmermann telegram to the Americans in which Germany offered to return American territory to Mexico if they would become allies and attack the U.S., it was the last straw.
I lied about my age and joined up when I was 17. Looking back, I was just a foolish boy looking for glory on the battlefield. The enemy
There's no glory on
had
the
sunk our
battlefield.
ships and tried to turn Mexico against us, and they had to pay. My platoon arrived in France in April of 1918. General Pershing organized our troops. My unit was assigned to a French contingent for training, but none of us had any experience with the new way of fighting, and the trench lines were a bit of a shock.
Okay. Bonjour. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Andre Lorient. Welcome to France. I understand you are eager to fight, but this is the Western Front. The trenches are no place for the inexperienced. Advisor overview. The top advisor box contains general information or story content, while the lower box will contain specific how-to information. Okay. And turn. So it's a turn game, is it? Click Click the button to advance to the next step. Okay. I didn't know it at the time, but Lorient had been in the Battle of the Somme. You could see a kind of distance in his eyes, though he didn't let it show in his voice. Reviewing the passing, okay. Remember to click the check button to advance to the next step. This is the theater map which depicts the Western Front, including regions in France, Belgium, Luxembourg, and Germany. Each region shows the current controlling faction. Okay. So that's Germany, and that's the Allies. The map is divided into hexagonal areas called regions. All regions in the map begin under the control of either the Allied nations or the Central Powers. Allied nations region hexes are highlighted in blue. Oh. Okay. Central regions are highlighted in red. I call that more orange than red. Already we got a problem with the colors. I was thinking the blue were the Allies. No, I was thinking the blue was the Germans. That blue is the Allies. All right. I'll be blunt. The Russian treaty with Germany has freed up nearly 50 divisions of German infantry to be transferred to the Western Front. Their men are needed to shore up the line and push back against this new threat. Yep, very historically accurate so far. The front line is where combat happens. Regions can only initiate attacks on adjacent hexes. As you capture or lose regions, the front line will adjust position. Okay. Our civilians see this German spring offensive as something to worry about. A worrying civilian is one who does not support the war and begins doubting that we can win, even talking about surrender. National will represents the feelings. National will represents the feelings of the home nations towards the war, how likely they are to enlist, buy war bonds, or support the war effort in general. National will is one way to win the game. The first faction to push the enemy to zero national will wins. Okay. So that's important up there. I assume with victories, you push the enemy's national will down. So while this army can't worry about the feelings of civilians, the threat of new German manpower is not something to dismiss. If we are not vigilant, Germany could reach Paris. The second way to win the game is to capture the region containing the faction's command headquarters. For the Allies, the command headquarters is Paris. For the Central Powers, the command headquarters is Krasnich. I can't pronounce that. Oh. So I can't really move around. I'm stuck here. Probably just because of the tutorial. All right, but Paris is still a long way from the front lines, and we will never let Germany get close. It's actually not that far from the front lines. You can move, it's a hell of a lot closer than what Berlin is to the front lines. You can move the camera using, okay, there we go. WASD. These keys can be remapped in game options. The arrow key or holding the middle mouse button. You can zoom using the mouse wheel to select the region, left click it on it. Move camera and left click to select the Paris region. Paris. I see the Eiffel Tower. Germany can try to reach Paris, but we will never let them know. We will make sure that your American forces are trained to aid us in this defense. Each region has a defense rating measured in stars, okay? When you attack a region, achieving a great victory removes 1 star. Once the final star is removed, the region becomes yours. 1 star regenerates per turn for the owning faction as long as no combat occurs in the region. Okay. That's something to remember. That means you got to keep attacking it every turn. Okay, that's interesting. Some regions have inherent bonuses or features. Paris, for example, has both the command headquarters bonus, which designate it as a win condition, and the deployment bonus, which means all new French troops begin in this region. you can see any bonuses in the region selection pane. Okay. Our forces begin in Paris to be deployed to the front line. Once we get you organized, your men will be deployed in the same fashion. So the Americans come in at Paris too. Oui. American or military units can be moved on the map. Units can have different names but act the same way. For example, an infantry corps and tank battalion are both units. Each unit contains a selection of smaller groups called a company. The type of companies found in a unit are not always the same. For example, an infantry corps can contain multiple infantry types and artillery. Okay, makes sense. I see. Right there, we've got infantry, tank, another infantry. French air wing. Oh, look at that. Okay. So you just hold your mouse over it, it tells you what it is. All right. It seems that this will be a trial by fire. I had hoped to have more time for drills, but orders are orders. Prepare yourselves. Objectives events are optional requests that grant a reward if completed within the time limit in turns. Objective events are just one type of events that can occur during a campaign. Objectives 3. Move 3 American Infantry Corps to Chateau Thierry. Move 2 French tank battalions to Chateau Thierry. 3 Infantry Corps and 2 tank battalions. Okay, where's Chateau Thierry? I think I pronounced that right. You've seen the orders. With the influx of new German forces, there are too many gaps in our line. Your job is to fill them. In a campaign, there is no penalty for failing to complete an objective event other than not receiving the reward. In general, the rewards will be worth the effort, but it's ultimately up to you. Click View Objective to close Accept Event, which will select Chateau Thierry. Okay, right there it is. Okay. Our forces have been fighting bravely, but they have had little rest or peace for a long time. I am sure your reinforcements are a welcome sight to them all. Missing stars. You must achieve a victory of great victory level in combat to remove a star from a region. When a region is lost, any defenders will retreat to the nearest friendly region. Some units, such as siege artillery, cannot be moved in retreat and are lost. Okay, that makes sense. We have designated the Les Marius, I can't pronounce some of these French names, region as a staging ground for the American forces. Any new American units will begin there. Designated Les as a staging ground. Where is that? Deployment zone. Remember that right there it is. Remember that each nation has its own deployment region for bringing in new troops and supplies, as shown in the bonuses section of the region selection pane. The deployment regions are Paris. Okay. Right, am I ready to go? What do we got here? There's one infantry unit company. Oh, American Corps. Okay. Okay. So how do you... Units are displayed on the map as stacks of 4 types: infantry, tanks, aircraft, and siege artillery. All present units are shown in the region pane. Left-clicking on a unit will add it to the units to move box or back, while right-clicking adds the entire stack. Clicking directly on a unit stack on the world map will also select and add the whole stack. Okay. Select 3 infantry corps and region pane for movement. Okay. So just click on that. Okay, right clicking on the target region will automatically move the selected units to the designation. Alright. Okay, they're not moving. Oh. Units of the same type stack on the map even though they are different nationalities. Whichever nationality is in the majority will appear on top of the stack. Okay, I seem to be stuck. What's going on here? Okay, looks like I did it. Well done, the infantry has filled in the defense gaps as planned. We should take stock and see what else is needed at Chateau Thierry. Okay. Attack or move. Units can neither move or attack once per turn. Your units can defend whether they moved or attack, but if you initiate an attack, only those units that haven't moved can participate. You cannot attack from a single region more than once per turn. Okay. Region's disunity of command. Mixing units from different nationalities in the same region can reduce morale. There are three groups. Britain, Canada, Australia, and India form Group 1. France is Group 2, and America is Group 3. If units from more than one group are in the same region, all units suffer a minor morale penalty. Belgium can stack Groups 1 and 2. The Central Powers does not suffer from disunity or command. The events log shows a list of all active events and their duration. Clicking on the individual events will display the event pop-up. Clicking on the exclamation icon will toggle the list between active and completed events. Listed events such as headlines will not be listed in the log. Move 3 American. Okay, I did that. Move 2 French tank battalions to Chateau Thierry. Okay. Tank battalions.
En attente de nouveaux ordres.
Okay. There we go. Okay, got it. Excellent work. The additional forces should be more than enough to defend the area. Chapter 2, prepare for battle. Command has granted us gold reserves for completing your orders. This is a vital resource used by officers to requisition all manner of necessary items needed for the global theater. Currency gold reserves. Gold reserves are used for all purchases on the theater command level. It allows you to purchase new units such as tanks and aircraft, region structures, and use strategic abilities. One of the most important uses is to purchase supply for battles. You are granted additional gold reserves at the start of each turn. Most objective events do not need to be completed on the turn they are assigned. You usually have 3 to 5 turns to complete them. It is always a good idea to assess the situation and determine your best time of attack. Okay. Espionage missions allow you to send spies to connected enemy regions or protect your own directly. Region intel reveals enemy economic and structural information. Army intel reveals enemy units. Both missions are initiated from your own regions and affect all adjacent enemy regions. Click the Army Intel ability button. Okay. Your first espionage mission used each turn will always succeed, but each subsequent one has an increasing risk factor. A chance to fail. If you get a mission failure, your gold is still spent. You get no additional information. Your ability to perform espionage is locked for the remainder of the turn. Region and Army Intel missions affect all enemy regions adjacent to where you activated the mission. Even if the enemy had counter intel active in one region, the others may still be affected. You can see the results of these missions by selecting the enemy region. German Conscript Infantry Corps, German Tank Battalion. Activate. Army Intel will allow you to see the exact unit counts and types. While active region Intel allows you to see the enemy structures and economic information. The numbers below the icons show how many turns the ability remains active for that region. 3 turns. Some abilities like theft and sabotage are activated directly on the enemy region and only applied to that region. This new information changes the plan somewhat. We will need to bolster our forces with the remaining American Corps in La Marais if we want to succeed.
Stand by for orders. We're moving.
All right. You can't purchase more infantry corps. They are granted via campaign progression or events. However, you can use gold reserves to purchase tanks, aircraft, and siege artillery from the purchase menu. Click the purchase menu to open. Each unit you purchase will contain multiple companies or wings. Remember that, unlike infantry, units purchased from the menu can be completely destroyed in combat. If that happens, you have to purchase replacements. Okay. Okay, I did that. Oh wait.
Restez en position.
Okay. Aircraft are gained from the purchase menu like tanks. Air wings contain fighter and bomber aircraft that can perform missions on the battlefield. I hate learning new games. I hate going through the process of it. I wish you just knew how to. You can just jump right in and start playing, but it doesn't work like that. Okay. Okay. would be beneficial to have air support for this battle, while recon is essential. Aircraft are gained from the purchase menu like tanks. Air wings contain fighter and bomber aircraft. Okay. Purchase menu is not popping up for me. Okay. Select the aircraft stack in Paris. Okay. Aircraft are gained from the purchase menu like tanks. Okay. Okay, I've done that. Alright. Supply and structures. Our unit moved with the rest of Montmirail, however you pronounce that. As we neared the trench line, we could see the siege artillery setting up well away from where we would be fighting. These guns were designed to pound trenches. I would hate to be under one of those shells when they landed. Siege artillery are unique units in that they do not appear on the battlefield. Instead, they allow you to use siege bombardment in battles. They do not affect disunity or command. Any siege or artillery still in a region, when it is captured, will be lost. Counterintelligence is an espionage ability you can apply to your own region. It lasts for 5 turns and prevents all enemy espionage in the region. Each time it prevents an attack, its duration is reduced. Click the Counterintel ability button. Unlike other espionage, counterintelligence does not suffer from rest. It always works, but loses duration when it succeeds. Supply is currently used during battles. Supply is used to build trenches and other defenses, to call in reinforcements, and to activate abilities such as artillery fire and air missions. Each unit on the strategic map, with the exception of siege artillery, grants a set amount of supply to the region. This is refreshed for each battle. Supply depots allow you to pull from the global supply banks to supplement the supply from your units. As one of the most important structures you can build, they are essential if you want to bring the full might of your army to bear against the enemy. Supply pipeline. Supply pipeline is the amount of supply that the region can draw from the global supply bank each battle. The region must have a supply depot to pull from the global bank, and the amount is limited by the size of the depot. Click supply button. Supply button. Okay. There are are 6 different structures available in the campaign, each with its own bonuses. All of them have multiple levels that increase in power as you upgrade. Defensive battles. You can take as many actions as you like during your turn. Once you have done everything you want to do, click the end turn button. The turn indicator will switch to the enemy and he will be able to perform any of the same actions that you can. The enemy AI has the same available actions as you do. It will move troops, purchase supply, plan attacks, and research new tech. Your ability to see what the AI player is doing will depend on how you have used espionage missions for the most part. For the most part, you will be able to see that the AI is doing something, but not what. Okay. Similar to the player, the AI will use espionage abilities on their turn, so remember to use counter intel on your staging grounds and important targets to deprive the AI of the extra knowledge. Okay. Just like a human player, the AI will probe with espionage to see where you are weak. You can use this as an indication of where attacks will happen. Battlefield deployment overview. The AI can attack your territories on its turn, which will put you on the defense. Each front, the line between the hexes, will use a different map. Battlefield deployment army breakdown. While you are always able to see each side's total morale and what you are bringing into battle, you will only be able to see exactly what the enemy is bringing in if you have an active army. Intel espionage mission active in the enemy region. The deployment pane will show you a great deal of information about the upcoming battle, including the region, who is the attacker, the special modifiers. One of the most important things in the available supply, which is broken down into core supply and your supply draw. Remember that without a supply depot in the region, your supply draw will be 0. If you find battles to be too difficult, try adding or upgrading the region's supply depot. Okay. The auto resolve likely button shows you the range of win levels your battle will fall into if you auto resolve the battle, the yellow box. Auto resolve simulates a battle based on force numbers and random element. The more even a battle is, the better it is to fight the battle directly, so that your skill and good decisions play more of a part in the battle than chance. Battlefield deployment, engage battle. The attacker must pay a supply cost to initiate a battle. While defense is free, the attacker always has the option to cancel an attack before it begins. The defender can concede a battle, taking the loss without casualties. Engage battle. Let's see what happens. One of the French towns is to receive the Legion d'Honneur. Chateau-Thierry has seen its share of battles in both the Napoleonic Wars and World War I. Region total core 9. Oh, look at this. Wow. All battles begin in the pre-battle phase, which allows you to set up your trench lines and initiate troop placement before starting the actual battles. The map is divided into 3 sections. Each faction has their home territory where they can build and deploy. Between them, a no man's land where nothing can be built. The camera controls on the battlefield are the same as they were for the theater map. In addition, you can click on the mini-map in the upper right hand corner to quickly jump to any part of the battlefield. Resistance trenches. On your first time fighting in a specific location, the battle will begin with a few pre-planned trenches. You are free to use them or replace them as you see fit. Any trenches you build will remain in place in all future battles. net location unless they are destroyed or you lose control of the region. Objects such as weapon emplacement, artillery batteries, and objective observation balloons do not persist between battles and will need to be rebuilt each time. We have automatically added a few for this battle to save some time. Just like the player, the enemy trenches also persist between battles and can be updated during the pre-battle phase. This means that your knowledge of the enemy lines from battle to battle can become outdated. Makes sense? Using scouts or observation balloons to view the enemy lines can reduce casualties. Control points are a primary focus of the battle, with the goal of being to secure as many as possible. Control points radius. Control points have a capture radius you can view by hovering your mouse over the flag. Okay. Only infantry can capture a control point, but the infantry can be in or out of the trench when doing so. Command trench headquarters. Command trenches are special control points that can only be captured by entering the trench itself. Just being near it will have no effect. Okay. Infantry assigned to the command trench are completely immune to damage from the outside. In addition, the command trench is immune to siege artillery blast. However, infantry stationed inside cannot fire at targets outside the trench. Building and deploying troops requires supply. The total supply you have in battle is determined by the number of units and the supply depot level in the region on the world map. 25% of your total available supply is reserved for when the battle starts, so you always have some supply for artillery fire and reinforcements. In general, trenches protect your infantry from harm and allow them to move around on the battlefield in relatively security. There are multiple levels and types of trenches you can build. Wow. Firing trenches have three types: basic, improved, and advanced. All of them provide immunity to rifle fire and limited protection from artillery shell. The better the trench, the more protection it offers. Makes sense? By clicking on the trench button, you enter placement mode. You can place the trench in any valid location. The trench image will turn red for invalid locations. You can use the mouse wheel to rotate the trench. While in placement mode, you can place as many of the same object as you want. When you are done, right-click the exit placement mode and choose another object to place. You can upgrade previously placed trenches by placing a higher level version on top of the existing one. Upgrading costs less supply than building the higher level trench from scratch. You cannot downgrade. What was it? Upgrading costs less supply than building the higher level trench from scratch. You cannot downgrade a trench, but you can remove it by clicking the X button over the trench. Communication trenches are used to connect lines of firing trenches, providing a way to quickly transition between them. Infantry and comm trenches gain a speed boost, allowing them to get where they are needed quickly. Infantry cannot stop in a comm trench, and they offer much less protection than firing trenches. There we go. Let's use the comm trenches to connect two lines of firing trenches. If you place a comm trench and the one is connected to nothing, it likely won't be of much use. Bunkers, blockhouses, trenches can hold up to 5 infantry companies and make them immune to all incoming damage and invisible to all enemies outside the bunker. Infantry stationed inside cannot fire out and can only be removed via melee combat. Use them to stage attacks or to take cover from bombardment. While trenches persist and form the backbone of a good layout, support structures need to be placed every battle. While more expensive, they are vital for a good offensive defense. Machine gun nest. Weapon placement must be attached to the trench lines. They cannot be placed on open ground. In addition, machine gun nests have an arc of fire which is invisible when you place them. They cannot shoot anything outside the arc. If you make a mistake, click the X button to remove it. Okay. Spurs. Both machine guns and mortars have two versions, standard and reinforced. Reinforced versions have a much higher health pool and are more resistant to artillery and grenade fire. This comes at a higher supply cost, so weigh the likelihood of attack versus cost of making the choice. Barbed wire. Barbed wire slows enemy infantry that pass through to a crawl, allowing you more time to fire at them. As enemies pass through, they damage the wire until eventually it will snap and be destroyed. Wire can also be destroyed by artillery fire, bombs, and crushed by tanks. Your artillery are immune to all the effects of your own barbed wire, but your tanks will crush it if they pass through. Razor wire is a more deadly cousin to barbed wire. Razor wire acts exactly as the same as barbed wire, but additionally damages enemies that pass through it. Observation balloons are special objects that can be raised to reveal a large area in the fog of war, allowing you to track enemy movements. Raised balloons are vulnerable to aircraft, while lowered balloons and their support truck can be attacked from the ground. Okay. Command cap is a limit to how many units you can place under the battlefield at one time. In the campaign, the number is 30, though it can change in other game modes. Weapon emplacements, balloons, and artillery do not reduce command cap. Infantry, tanks, and artillery do. If a unit uses command cap, it appears in the unit tray in the bottom center of the screen. Each company is represented by a portrait. Clicking a portrait will select the company. Oh man, come on! Select the company, while double-clicking will select the center the camera on. Will select and center the camera on the company. That's why I hate learning new games. Ugh. Artillery are special units that, while immobile, can use multiple abilities and fire across much of the battlefield. Artillery battles are visible in the unit tray and take up command cap. They are very powerful and as such are more expensive to field than infantry. Heavy artillery has 3 abilities: precision barrage for default damage, poison gas shells for area denial, and airburst shells that can damage targets even in trenches. The first ability is available by default, while the latter two must have locked via the tech tree. Like machine guns, artillery batteries have an arc of fire. When placing them, you can see on the mini-map where the cannons can be reached. Okay, I see. Wow, that's one hell of an arc of fire. Artillery abilities have a cooldown. Using the ability on the battery. Another one. Troop deployment tab allows you to place infantry and tanks into the battlefield. Infantry forms the backbone of any successful defense and is vital to help keep control points secure. Infantry companies cost less supply to deploy in pre-battle, but they must be placed in the trenches. In addition, infantry placed during pre-battle may be subjected to siege artillery barrages before the battle starts. The cheaper cost and starting advantage must be weighed against the risk. For the Allied factions, infantry companies have a nationality bonus which grants a unique modifier. You can see this modifier by selecting a company and viewing the info pane or tooltip. These bonuses are something to consider when deploying and giving orders to your troops. German soldiers do not have nationality bonus. Instead, Germany can use conscript infantry and have their other variations in their units. In the pre-battle phase, infantry can only be placed into trenches, firing trenches, command trench or blockhouse trenches, as with other objects. Clicking the infantry button enters placement mode, and you can place multiple companies.
Reporting for duty. Reinforcements reporting. Reinforcements ready. We've arrived and await orders. Looks like we're late to the party. Reporting for duty.
Infantry specialists have smaller company sizes but make it up for it by having more health and morale than normal infantry. They are two types: raiders or grenadiers for the Germans and flamethrowers or stormtroopers for the Germans. Both are very good at clearing trenches, though their method varies.
Reporting for duty. Reinforcements reporting.
As with infantry, tanks cost less to place in the pre-battle phase. Unlike infantry, tanks can be built anywhere in a friendly territory. Pre-battle bombardment. Pre-battle bombardment is available if you have siege artillery in the region. It is useful to clear enemy trenches to support your attacks. They can potentially destroy the trenches themselves. Because of this high cost and randomness of fire, it is best used when you are on the attacker and are planning a massive assault. How you spend your supply in pre-battle is a key element of the game. Any supply you do not spend in pre-battle will be added to the reserve once the battle starts. You must balance the need to have more defenses built in pre-battle versus the need for reinforcements, artillery, aircraft, or other ability used in combat and battle. Begin battle. See what happens. During the transition of the tactical battle phase, all of the objects you placed are built and the troops you deploy will man the trenches. Normally the battle clock will begin counting down, but We have paused it for the tutorial and will automatically do so even when gameplay is resumed to give you time to read and react. Pre-battle bombardment. The transition phase includes any days of siege bombardment that were purchased in pre-battle for both players. Bombardment have a chance to destroy pre-placed trenches and the men inside them, as well as the nearby placements. Potential bar, the right center bars and blue allied bars at the top of the screen show the combat conditions for both sides related to each other, representing available units of supply for both sides. The longer bar indicates more available firepower than the opponent. As units are defeated and supply is spent, the bars will deplete to show current values. The top bar is the victory level meter. This represents a range of potential victory levels from great loss to great victory. The pointer will adjust based on scores earned by both sides and the relation to each other. Where the pointer rests is the victory level you would achieve if a ceasefire is agreed upon, okay? Near the top meters you can find the current control point status. You can see who owns each point and if they are in the process of being captured. You can click on the icons to focus the camera on a control point or click the flags to jump to a command point. Trench. Control point meter. Every control point has a meter around the outside that shows the current owner and if it is being contested. As long as each side has infantry present in the capture radius, either on open ground or in a trench, the meter will not move. This means you must clear all imminent infantry to capture a point. To capture a control point, move an infantry company within the capture radius. The more companies you have in the area, the faster the meter will fill. The meter will halt if enemy infantry are in the area. You must fill the meter entirely before leaving the area to capture the point and get the score. If you leave early, the meter will revert to the previous owner over time. Regions. Each control point influences an area of the map and the reinforcement locations linked to it. A control point that is lost or contested cannot be reinforced from. You can see the map sections linked to control points using the key. Man, let's get on with this. What is the deal here? Each region, I gotta leave for work in a little bit. Each region is tied to reinforcement points as shown on the minimap. If you capture an enemy control point that links to side reinforcement points, you can then use those to reinforce your own troops. Top and bottom points can never be captured. Reinforcements cannot use a point that is a captured or contested map area. Reinforcements. The supply cost of reinforcements is higher than deploying the same unit in pre-battle.
Reinforcements reporting. Reinforcements ready.
Infantry companies default to column formation when called in. This is a fast but vulnerable formation. Skirmish formation is defensive, but there they are. Units and structures like weapon emplacement can see across the battlefield, but only so far. Where they cannot see is called the fog of war. Distance, hills, and trenches can all obscure your vision of the battlefield, blocking your ability to attack or see enemy movements. Balloons begin the battle, lowered to keep them safe from aircraft, but a lowered balloon provides no vision bonus. You must weigh the risk of raising them for the larger vision bonus against the danger of them being shot down. The raise lower button toggles all balloons at once. They cannot be controlled individually. balloon rise, they reveal much more of the map and even allow you to see the enemy trenches. The trenches are filled in and in range. Watch your vision increase when the balloons rise before continuing. Remember that heavy artillery is good for damaging enemy targets. Since units cannot regain lost health or morale, sometimes it's useful on defense to weaken the enemy units before they attack. Units in tactical can be selected via the unit tray or by clicking on the unit banner directly. It's like any heavy artillery.
Préparez-vous, soldats.
All units display an info panel that contains basic information about them when selected. Artillery batteries have an additional ability set that allows you to fire different barrages at the enemy.
Préparez un barrage total.
Move the rectangle over some German infantry and left click to fire. Okay, this is where you're gonna get fun here, I think.
On a nos cibles.
The ability will place a brief warning decal on the ground before the shells land. Artillery fire is not exact, so shots will land randomly within the area. Artillery shells can cause friendly fire, so be cautious when firing at your own units. Incoming enemy artillery bat will always show a brief warning on the ground before the shells land. While units of blockhouses and command points are engaged, units of defensive stick reduce damage. Infantry companies have both a health bar green and a morale bar white. The health bar displays how many troops are left, while the morale bar displays their willingness to fight. The morale bar can be affected by a variety of factors: abilities, fatigue, casualties, and when it reaches zero, the company will break and run.
Ready yourselves.
Okay, click the withdraw button.
We're withdrawing.
Drawing a company removes that company from play, but does not count as a loss for respect to score. Withdrawal also saves on replenishment cost and frees up command cap for new reinforcements. Withdrawing is not instantaneous, and units withdrawn in the middle of a battle can still take damage and break before they withdraw. That's lovely. You will only be able to see enemy movement if you have units or balloons revealing the area. Enemy infantry and trenches are hidden to units on the ground until you get very close. Normally, enemy units and trenches can't be seen. For safety and speed, garrison infantry prefer moving through connected trenches over open ground if possible. Select a raider via clicking on the unit tray. Double click to select and focus the camera.
New orders incoming. Take the trench!
Okay, well, look at that. Over the top. Direct your troops and use your artillery to stop the incoming attack. Remember to use artillery abilities quick and naturally, and then position barrage ability will
Préparez-vous à recevoir les ordres de tir. Chargez l'artillerie. Établissez les positions. Équipe prête. Préparez-vous, soldats. Préparez-vous pour le barrage. Feu. Préparez-vous à recevoir les ordres de tir. Chargez l'artillerie. Rechargez pour un barrage de zone. Établissez les positions. Vérifiez les coordonnées de cette position. Équipe prête. Établissez le barrage. Commencez le barrage.
Here comes the enemy artillery.
Char de renfort prêt. Char de renfort au rapport.
Here they come.
Préparez-vous, soldats. Préparez un barrage total. Tirez avec toute l'artillerie. Préparez-vous à recevoir les ordres de tir. Préparez-vous pour le barrage. On a nos cibles.
Look at this. Cool.
Tout ce qui vole dans le ciel est une cible.
Okay, if you say so.
Chargez l'artillerie, rechargez pour un barrage de zone. Feu! Établissez les positions. Vérifiez les coordonnées pour le barrage. Donnez cette position. Équipe, prêt. Établissez le barrage. Commencez le barrage. Préparez-vous, soldats. Préparez un barrage total. Tirez avec toute l'artillerie.
Artillery's missing most of them. Dang.
Préparez-vous à recevoir les ordres. Préparez-vous pour le barrage. On a nos cibles.
Don't get them guys.
Les ordres arrivent.
Germans request a ceasefire. Interesting. Alrighty. Enemy ceasefire. Okay, I don't get this picture. There's Germans there, and that looks like he's British. Is this a after the war photo? Battles in the war are won by inches, not miles. Enemies decide to cut their losses and end hostilities around us. They'll take some damage, but they can fight again another day. I think that's it for the tutorial. Battle for Secretary.
Johnny, get your gun, get your gun, get your gun. Take it on the run, on the run, on the run. Hear them calling you and me, everyone for liberty.
Cool. This might be it, which is good because I gotta get ready for work. I gotta be into work early today. Minor victory. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and end it. I'm Corky Duke. CorkyDuke.com is my website. Like, comment, share my videos. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. I appreciate it. This is my first look at Great War Western Front and a tutorial. And I like it so far. So, and thanks for watching, and we'll see y'all later. Y'all take care. Bye.